What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. The Chicago Bulls are in the play-in tournament. This obviously took place after the Atlanta Hawks game. Even though that we lost that game, we actually sealed our spot in the play-in tournament due to other teams losing their games. So at the end of the day, it is something to be happy about, but obviously now that we're in the play-in tournament, we've got to get through the play-in tournament. And that's what this video is going to be about, providing you some of the updates of what the Bulls are going to have to go through in order to get out of the play-in tournament and into the NBA playoffs. I might even give some predictions about what I think will happen in the play-in tournament from a Chicago Bulls perspective. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about whether or not you believe the Chicago Bulls will get out of the play-in tournament. There is a lot to get through in this avenue, but basically where we sit right now, I believe going to be in the 10th seed. So obviously the Toronto Raptors, I mentioned it in the last video, assuming Toronto actually had one less win than they did. They actually have 2 wins over the Chicago Bulls right now. Our record right now is 38. We have 38 wins. They have 40 wins with 2 games left on the season. We can't catch the Toronto Raptors. However, as of now, I'm not sure if this has changed. I think Atlanta can still drop to the 9th seed. But let's just essentially put ourselves in a situation where the Chicago Bulls are going to be 10th in the Eastern Conference. We've basically solidified that spot. It's done. It's dusted. We can't really go up. We can't really go down. Nevertheless, we need to talk about what it's going to take for the Chicago Bulls to overcome this situation, because it is a lot. And look, the records do state that when it's not in our favor. I'm pretty sure since the existence of the play-in tournament, the 10th seeded positions in the play-in tournament have yet to actually win a game. So it's not an easy feat that the Chicago Bulls are going to have to go through to get into that NBA playoff spot. But of course, it gives us a chance, which I think most people want. We'll wait and see whether or not that chance is taken. And the Bulls have broken streaks before this season. That's kind of what we're known for. We're the ones that, I guess, stop the trends that happen around the NBA. We're the streak breakers and stuff like that. That's what the Bulls are called this season. Well, we're going to have to prove it in the play-in tournament and see if that's the type of team that we're going to be throughout the course of that play-in tournament, and just again solidify what we've been throughout the whole season, breaking big win streaks from different teams and stuff of that nature. And we'll have to wait and see. It's a very interesting concept. But for those who don't know how the play-in tournament works, again, this is the first time the Chicago Bulls will be in the play-in tournament. It's a brand new situation to the Bulls fans, brand new situation to all of us. We're going to be in a very unique situation. It might feel like a playoff game, but technically, it's not a playoff game. So how can the Bulls, I guess, get to where they need to be, and that is in the NBA playoffs? Well, how the play-in tournament works, it's going to be the 7th and the 8th seed versing each other. Let's just say the records and everything stays the exact same. It would be the Miami Heat versus the Atlanta Hawks for the 7th and 8th spots. The winner of that game, let's just say, for example, it's going to be the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are now secured in the 7th seed, and they will advance into the NBA playoffs. All they need to do is win 1 game. Then, it will be the 9th and the 10th seed. For this instance, it would be the Chicago Bulls and the Toronto Raptors. Let's just say, because this is a Bulls channel, the Chicago Bulls beat the Toronto Raptors. Well, the Bulls will have another opportunity to verse the loser of the 7th and 8th seeded game, which in this instance would be the Atlanta Hawks, and the winner of that game will secure the 8th seed. So basically how this sums up is that if everything stays the same, whoever gets out of the play-in tournament to the 8th seed will verse the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA playoffs, which of course we recently just lost to them in the regular season. So that is obviously a worrying sign. But I truly think we are at a disadvantage, ladies and gentlemen. One, obviously, with the opponents that we are versing, I think it's going to be a big struggle. And again, I think out of all the teams we could verse in the play-in tournament, I think the Raptors is the last team I want to face. But we'll get to that later. But 2, home crowd advantage. The last thing that I wanted to see is versing the Toronto Raptors in Toronto. Now again, it makes for a great story. DeMar DeRozan versing his former side to get into the NBA playoffs. It's a great story. You can write a narrative based on that situation, and a narrative can be a positive outcome for the Bulls or a negative outcome for the Bulls. A positive outcome for the Raptors and a negative outcome for the Raptors. However, it is a massive disadvantage. Now, the Bulls have played well away from home before, But I still think if you want to do anything in the playoffs and anything in the play-in tournament, you need to have your home crowd behind you. You need to be supported by your home crowd. You need to give your home crowd something to cheer about. And the Bulls could potentially miss out on that opportunity when we verse the Toronto Raptors. And even if we win that game, whoever we verse between Miami and Atlanta, we will also miss out on that opportunity. The only real good way we can see that playoff atmosphere for the Chicago Bulls is if we actually make the NBA playoffs. We have to win that play-in tournament. So that's how it works. 9th versus 10th, 7th versus 8th. The winner of those games, 7 and 8, they go into the playoffs. The winner of the 9th and 10th will verse the loser of the 7 and 8. It is basic stuff. Again, it's been around long enough to know the rules. But yeah, that's how it's going to go, ladies and gentlemen. Now I think it's time to give my prediction on the situation. In my opinion, as I said before, the last team I wanted to play in the play-in tournament is the Toronto Raptors. Now, look, Toronto has a grueling end to the season. They're going to verse Boston and Milwaukee as their last 2 games of the season. That could be detrimental because I think those 2 teams could potentially still be fighting for the 1st and 2nd seed, if I'm not mistaken. Regardless of that fact, Toronto are a team that is a mismatch nightmare for the Chicago Bulls. Back when they didn't have Jakob Poeltl, at least we had one advantage in our team that we could use effectively, and that was Nikola Vucevic, because they didn't have a massive tall center that can compete in the post, can be a protector, and we abused that. All of our players attacked the paint, Vucevic was in the post, and that's how we got our wins against the Toronto Raptors. Looking at them now, that's going to be very difficult because in every single position, they are bigger than the Chicago Bulls. From the point guard position, well, not, to be fair, Fred VanVleet's not bigger than the point guards that we have, but regardless, for most of those positions, they are bigger than us. Shooting guard to center, they are bigger than us. They are more athletic than us. They are more mobile than us. And defensively, they will swarm the Chicago Bulls. The only way I can see us surviving that game against Toronto is if we pull out one of the best offensive games we've ever had this season. And that could be a stretch because we know Toronto has beaten us more times than we've beaten them. They have the tiebreaker over us even if we do finish on the same record. And I'm not very confident coming into that game against Toronto. So that's my prediction. I think we will not make it out of the play-in tournament. I think we will lose to the Toronto Raptors. The history's there. The stats are there. And obviously, the way that they play and how we like to go small ball, if we go small ball against the Toronto Raptors, I think it will hurt us in this environment because they have very athletic and mobile players and they are also bigger than the Chicago Bulls. So I can't sit here and lie and say in my heart of hearts, we are going to walk in to the play-in tournament, decimate every team in front of us and walk out of the play-in tournament knowing that we're going to be versing the Milwaukee Bucks or the Boston Celtics or whoever we play in the NBA playoffs. I'm sorry. I can't sit here and say that with an honest heart of hearts. There's nothing more I would want. I will be supporting this Bulls team. I'll be cheering them on in that game. I'll be watching it. I'll be very happy if we win. I'll be glad to admit that I was wrong if we win and everything of that nature. But if you're asking me for my prediction, if the Toronto Raptors is the team that we're going to be facing, I am not confident and I don't think we will win against the Toronto Raptors. I could be wrong, I'd love to be wrong. But to be honest, the other teams in the play-in tournament as we speak now, I think we match up better with most of them, to be honest. You look at the Atlanta Hawks, yes, they absolutely smacked us in the last game, but we have beaten them twice before. We know that they could be an on and off team. They're very heavy in terms of the pick and roll and lobbing. And if we can have an adjustment against that, we could play well against the Atlanta Hawks. We have the tiebreaker over the Miami Heat. Miami is a team we have beaten, I think, every single time this season. So, again, I would feel more confident versus Miami, even though they're higher up in the standings. But again, the Toronto Raptors, I think, is a matchup nightmare for us. The other teams I don't think are. I'd much rather verse those teams than verse the Toronto Raptors. So, that's my honest opinion. And if that's the team that we're going to be playing, I think if we can beat the Toronto Raptors, I fully believe in my heart we'll walk out of the play-in tournament into the playoffs. But that's, in my opinion, the biggest obstacle that we have. Can we beat that? I'm assuming they're healthy. Can we beat a healthy Toronto Raptors, knowing what they're going to provide, knowing the issues that the Bulls are going to have, knowing everything's going to be stacked against us? It's in Toronto as well. Their crowd is going to be up for it. They have one of the more energetic crowds in the NBA, without a shadow of a doubt. That game is going to have a lot of things stacked against us. But if we can win that game, I'll feel extremely confident heading into the second game, whoever we may face. chase. But it comes down to that game. I just think there's going to be too many problems for the Bulls to overcome. Wait and see. I hope we could be that trend-setting team, breaking the records and everything like that. I'd love to be the first team that was 10th in the Eastern Conference that actually won a play-in game. I'd love to be that team. I just don't think we will be that team. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree. I'll end this video here. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. You know what they say, ladies and gentlemen, honesty is the best policy. I don't want to come here and lie to you guys and say, yeah, I think the Bulls are going to beat every team in the Eastern Conference. I think the Bulls are going to beat all the playing teams. I think the Bulls are going to beat the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round, and we're going to go all the way. That's not me. I don't believe that. I really don't. And I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say that. Obviously, my best intentions, I want the Bulls to be the best they could possibly be. But again, there's so far 80 games into the season. I've seen this Bulls team. I've seen the best and I've seen the worst. So that's coming from an honest opinion. I just don't think we'll beat the Toronto Raptors. But it's possible. And that's the thing. You have to give us the chance. And the chance is there for the Bulls. Will they take it? Have a wonderful and safe day. I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.